All right, welcome to our explainer. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to perform a literary autopsy. We're cracking open one of the most powerful stories ever written, Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And what we're looking for is, how does a life built on total falsehood just completely collapse when it's hit with one single, undeniable truth? So here's the thing about this story. It doesn't start with a bang, not at all. It starts with this quiet, almost chilling indifference of the world Ivan Ilyich has just left. I mean, his story kicks off not with his life, but with its bureaucratic aftermath. You've got legal gossip, people wondering about who gets his job. It immediately throws you into this world where a man's death isn't something to be mourned. It's just something to be processed. So, yeah, we're starting our investigation at the end. And what we're about to see is a funeral that's, well, it's not really a tragedy. It's more like a professional inconvenience, a chore. Tolstoy just pulls back the curtain right away on how fake Ivan's world is. These guys, his friends, they're not grieving, not even a little. They're actually just uncomfortable in the room, and you can almost hear them thinking this quiet, selfish thought, thank God it's him and not me. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It shows you the huge, gaping hole between what people are supposed to do, the proper performance of being sad, and the raw, lonely truth of death. Right from page 1, Tolstoy is telling us this whole society is basically morally bankrupt. So, by starting us off with the body, Tolstoy is basically turning the whole story into an investigation, an inquest. We're put in the position of judging this man's life before we even really know anything about it. All we know for sure is that it ends right here at this hollow, totally meaningless ceremony. Okay, so the big question is, how did he end up here? Well, Tolstoy rewinds the tape and shows us that this empty, hollow end wasn't an accident. It was built piece by piece over an entire lifetime. His death, it turns out, was really just the final symptom of a life that was, well, a spiritual disaster from the get-go. Ivan's life was basically a formula, a recipe for respectability, and it was so empty. Every single choice he made, who he married, the job he took, even the furniture he bought, it was all about what was proper and what would help him get ahead. His goal was never to actually live an authentic life, it was to perform a successful one. And this right here, this is the core paradox of the whole story. The very thing he was aiming for, this perfect, ordinary, by-the-book life, wasn't just a bit shallow. It was the actual source of his spiritual sickness. It was a life that he had systematically drained of all real meaning, one proper decision at a time. And this is where the irony gets just savage. The very symbol of his superficial life, this brand new house that was supposed to be the absolute peak of his success, that's where it all starts to go wrong. I mean, think about it. The simple act of decorating his own perfect little stage is what literally brings the curtain down on his life. You can't make this stuff up. All right, so now the illness hits, and that perfect artificial world that Ivan built, it starts to crack. It just can't handle the pressure of one single, undeniable reality, his pain. And his pain is messy, it's ugly, and it's very real. You can really see the two worlds collide here. His whole universe just implodes. What was once this big social stage where he performed his life, it shrinks down to the four corners of a sofa. And in a world built on lies, his pain becomes the only authentic thing left. And that pain just starts to tear down every wall of self-deception he's ever built. And what's worse, the very pillars of his old life, medicine, his family, they totally fail him. It's like everyone around him is in on this conspiracy to just pretend everything is normal. But they're not doing it for him. Oh no, they're doing it to protect themselves from the scary truth of what's happening to him. And that lie isolates him more than the disease ever could. Okay, so now we're going deep. We're leaving the outside world behind and diving into the terrifying landscape inside Ivan's own head. The plot on the outside kind of fades away, and all that's left is this raw, intense drama of a soul being forced to look at its own emptiness. So, with nothing left to distract him, his suffering backs him into a corner and forces him to ask the single most terrifying question anyone can face. It's not that question you ask when you're young, how should I live my life? No, it's the one at the end. What if my whole life has been wrong? It's a question we all kind of push away, right? But for Ivan, There's nowhere left to run. His physical pain becomes a spiritual trial. And Tolstoy gives us this incredible, horrifying metaphor for what he's going through, the black sack. See, this isn't just about being afraid of death. It's the physical feeling of being completely and utterly annihilated. The black sack is this perfect symbol for the void he's terrified of. It's not about death being a single event, but about dying being this endless, suffocating process that just laughs in the face of the orderly little world he tried so hard to control. So he's in this dark place, this abyss, and a really stark contrast starts to pop up. On one side, you've got his family, with their polite lies that just make him feel even more alone. But on the other side, the only real comfort he gets comes from the one person who is completely outside of this whole system of fakeness, his servant, a peasant named Gerasim. And Gerasim says this simple thing that is just revolutionary. Why? Because he's the only one who says the thing everyone else is trying desperately to ignore. He just accepts death as a normal part of life. And by doing that, he offers Ivan this incredible gift, the comfort of finally being seen for what he is, of having his reality acknowledged. It's the only authentic human connection in the whole story. So, from the absolute rock bottom of this pit, from inside that suffocating black sack, Tolstoy does something incredible. He engineers this completely shocking, totally paradoxical climb back into the light. And here's the thing. His redemption, his moment of grace, it doesn't come from a lifetime of good deeds. Not at all. It ignites in a single instant. He sees his crying son, and for the first time, he feels a spark of selfless pity. And that one little spark is enough to crack open the hard shell of his ego. And once that's cracked, everything changes. The whole struggle just transforms. And just like that, poof, the terror that had been consuming him for months, it's just gone. He's not denying that he's physically dying, that's not it. It's more like a declaration of victory over the fear of death. The part of him, that ego, that was so afraid of dying has just dissolved. So what we're seeing is the ultimate plot twist. He doesn't survive physically, but he wins a metaphysical victory. The very thing he was terrified of, that black sack, that void, is gone. And in its place is the exact opposite, light, a feeling of peace. His whole experience is completely turned on its head. So in the end, Tolstoy's Autopsy shows us something pretty profound. The real sickness wasn't the physical thing in Ivan's side. It was in the soul of the society that made him. A society that puts being proper above being truthful and being comfortable above being authentic. And so the story leaves us with this really haunting question, one that sticks with you long after you finish it. Are we just living a pleasant life, or are we living a true one?